Hi, my name is Caitlin Dahlia and I'm with the Taney County Health Department. I am one of the environmental public health specialists here, which means that that's the fancy term for me to say I'm a health inspector. You may have seen me doing some pool inspections, or you may have seen me at a breakfast facility or just out and about doing food inspections. So today I get to talk about recreational water illnesses, which is really exciting because I love microbiology. So I will try not to nerd out, and I will try to summarize ultimately what I want you to just take away from these few slides that I have. So let's get started. So what are recreational water illnesses? Now, I'm going to start using the acronym RWI from this point on just because it's shorter, and recreational water illnesses is a mouthful to say. So think about what RWI is. Recreational, where you're going to have fun. Water, you're going to play in the water and you're going to get sick from it. So illnesses that are passed through water, including water slides, swimming pools, lakes, your favorite creek that you like to play in, those would all be places where you can get an RWI. They're spread by swallowing water, breathing in mist, or having contact with that germ-filled water. The most common reported RWI symptom is diarrhea. Fun, right? So why do we as pool operators care about RWIs? Well, first off, they're harmful. Second, they're the reason why you get to see us health inspectors, because your chemical levels and routine maintenance of the pools is how we keep RWIs in check. Branson's really unique. We serve a lot of tourists every year, and think about your pool on a weekend. It sees a lot of people, and one person can change everybody's weekend plans. So that's why we care. So how does somebody get an RWI? So I'm going to be honest, I've swam for 10 years. I always read this part on the sign that says, shower before entering the pool. Let me tell you why. It's because on average, people have 0.14 grams of poop on their bottoms, okay? And that's just an average. Think about your kiddos that have those swim diapers that really aren't that effective. They probably have more. So again, that's an average. 1.4 grams of poop. They get in the water, guess where that poop's gonna go? Right into the water, where everybody else is swimming, where everybody's gonna get water up their nose. They're gonna swallow that water. Are you, I guess, getting the picture? So even a small amount of water swallowed can contain germs that can cause illness. And we all share the water. It's not like your private pool that you know that is probably clean. You literally have no idea who was in it before you. So that's why we care, is because it's so easy to pick something up. So now we get to do the fun part. We get to talk about what causes recreational water illnesses. Sorry, I'm so used to saying foodborne illnesses because I also do food. So I apologize. RWIs. Cryptosporidium. It's known as crypto is short. That is not cryptocurrency, okay? This is crypto the parasite. You don't want crypto parasites. So if you see here in this picture, which I don't even know if you're going to see my pointer, but in this picture, you can see that there's this little casing, and inside is this little worm-looking thing, right? So this casing is what protects cryptosporidium from disinfection. It's what makes it tough and hardy and really not wanting to die in the water. So cryptosporidium is a parasite. Parasites require hosts. So if it's in the water, it's not going to be proliferating, which means growing, because it needs a host in order to grow. So in the last 20 years, crypto has been recognized as the most common cause of an RWI in the US. It causes diarrhea and respiratory illnesses. So if somebody has crypto, somebody that is sick with it can shed 10 million to 100 million crypto germs in a single bowel movement, not over the course of the illness, just one time going to the bathroom, okay? Remember that 0.14 grams of poop that's hanging out on people? If they have crypto, there's probably a lot of it on there, and it only takes 10 cells to make someone sick. Are we getting the importance of why disinfection and the ability to have our pools at the right concentration matter. So let's talk about that. That shell on the outside of crypto makes it resistant to chlorine disinfection. And so if somebody was to get sick in your pool, it can take up to 20 parts per million chlorine, close to 13 hours. Okay, pretty much you're going to be down for the day to be able to kill crypto if it's in your pool. And if you're wanting more information about when do you need to worry about that, check out some of our other slides when we talk about poop, vomit, and blood in our other series. Another parasite that you might struggle with is Giardia. Same thing as crypto. It is a parasite, and so it has this really nice hard shell on the outside that helps make it resistant to bacteria. It's not going to be quite as resistant as crypto, but it is still resistant. Still found in people's stool or their poop. It causes diarrhea, stomach cramps, nausea, and its main way of spreading is through water. See, you guys are doing great. You guys are making it. Now we're going to move on to viruses. This is norovirus, and I will try really hard not to geek out, mainly because I think norovirus is really cool. Norovirus is unique in the fact that it can survive on a hard surface for weeks. And that's because it doesn't dry out like the common cold virus or the flu virus, that it doesn't have to stay moist. It can be on that surface dry, and you can pick that up for weeks. Okay, that's why it's a big deal in the food industry. Also in the pool industry. So most people that get norovirus say they have the stomach flu. It's about 24 hours. It comes out both ends. It's coming out and it's coming out. It's very, very contagious. My professor that I had that taught about norovirus talked about her first Thanksgiving meeting her in-laws, that she got noro, and she's like, "Don't come into the bathroom. I will clean up," because she was so terrified that she was going to give it to other people. Because an incident out of the water, so out of the water, like on your pool deck. So if somebody was to throw up on your pool deck that had norovirus particles can spread 25 feet in either direction from that person. So that means we have a 50 feet diameter that could possibly have noroparticles on it. And on hard surfaces, it's really hard to disinfect. So it needs 1,000 parts per million or more. Now, that is not in your pool. Hear that again. The 1,000 parts per million is not in the pool. The 1,000 parts per million is on your hard surfaces. So that would be like on your deck, on your chairs, saunas maybe. I don't know what you might have, but you get the idea. Hard surfaces, not in the water. In the water, norovirus is going to be diluted. So there's not going to be as much in that area, and that chlorine that you have in the water is going to be able to act on it. So if it's in the water chlorine levels that you normally have will be able to take care of it. It's outside on your pool deck that you're more concerned about. So let's go into some bacteria. I think E. coli is kind of weird looking. I mean, like, it kind of looks like the monkeys from Wizard of Oz, but that's because the Wizard of Oz kind of terrified me, so I kind of am terrified of E. coli too, but that's besides the point. So, E. coli. When you think E. coli, you're probably thinking, oh, that's from raw ground beef. Right, it is. But what if somebody doesn't know they have E. coli and they get in your pool? Is that a problem? Do you know if it's a problem? So E. coli, just like all the other ones, diarrhea, stomach cramps. Symptoms appear 1 to 10 days after exposure. So whether that is in the water or if it's something they ate, and it begins slowly with belly pain, and then it slowly escalates and worsens over several days. Chlorine is highly effective against E. coli. It's a win. So if you have somebody that gets sick in your pool, you're not going to be real worried about E. coli, because your chlorine that is in your pool is going to handle it with no problems. Shigella is another bacteria. It's not quite as scary looking. I don't know. It still has that rod-shaped look. It still has those hairy spikes, but not quite so terrifying as E. coli is. Its symptoms, again, very typical for foodborne illnesses, and This is another foodborne illness that can occur in your water. Diarrhea, fever, stomach cramps. The bacteria can be present and spread up for 2 weeks after symptoms start. So even if they feel like they've improved and they come and get into your water, that 0.14 grams can wreak havoc on your water. Because they can not have symptoms, even though they still have that bacteria in their poop. But again, good news. Your chlorine that's naturally that you have in your water should be able to kill a Shigella. Exciting news, right? So another thing that if you have the right concentration, you're fine. Legionella. This one doesn't have the little hairy things. It's a really smooth looking rod. Legionella is a type of bacteria found naturally in fresh water. It prefers the warm, moist environment. So if you have a spa, that would be one of those things that it would prefer to be in because it's warm and it's moist and it gets happy. It causes Legionnaire's disease and Pontiac fever. People that are exposed to Legionella, they're breathing in the mist. So what happens at spas? You turn on the jets, you get your mist. So if somebody was going to pick up Legionella, it was more than likely going to happen in your spa. It's not typically spread person to person. So if somebody does have Legionella, you're not going to get it from them. Most people exposed to it do not get ill. But if they do get ill, its symptoms usually begin 2 to 10 days after exposure for Legionnaires and a few hours, 3 days for Pontiac fever. Legionnaires can be hard to diagnose because it's similar to pneumonia, and it often looks the same on a chest x-ray, so it's really important to go see a doctor that really knows what they're doing. Pontiac fever is different from Legionnaire's disease because someone with Pontiac fever does not have pneumonia. They have other respiratory issues, but it's not going to be that pneumonia. Each year, it's estimated 8,000 to 18,000 people are hospitalized in the U.S. due to Legionella, and Legionnaires is the most common cause of severe pneumonia requiring hospitalization. Man, that's a mouthful. Lots of big words. So it's really important that you make sure you're maintaining your pool clean and that you're making sure your pipes aren't developing any type of biofilms or bacteria growing in it. Hot tub rash. I first heard about this through a TV show because one of the persons had been in a hot tub and they called their brother and they're like, "We're dying." And he goes, "No, you probably got in a hot tub that hadn't been cleaned." Okay, hot tub rash. Looks real fun, right? Hot tub rash is caused by Pseudomonas aeruginosa, and you do not have to know what that is. That is a bacteria, and it causes a skin infection. So like in this picture, right? Really pleasant, right? Kind of looks like chicken pox. It's not. It's hot tub rash. Those are itchy spots that become a bumpy red rash. The rash is worse in areas that were covered by a swimsuit because guess what? That swimsuit is holding in more water and it's probably going to stay moist longer. And those blisters ultimately start having pus in them because it's an infection. The rash usually appears within a few days after being in poorly maintained water. So your guest is probably not going to recognize it the day it happens. They're going to recognize it when they get home, and then they're going to call us. Then we're going to show up. Okay. So how in the world do you ultimately prevent that one, right? You need to change out your hot tub water. Simplest solution. You should be changing your hot tub water out to begin with, but this is one of the reasons why, is it will prevent that bacteria from building up. Also, when you do that, you do need to scrub down the sides because bacteria create biofilms. Now, I was trying to think of how do I explain biofilms. The best thing I can think about is like soup. Have you ever made soup and there's that fat layer on the top because all good soup has butter on it and that butter comes to the top and makes this nice little hard thing, that hard little casing on the top? Okay. Same thing. Biofilms make this hard casing on the top that protects the bottom of the bacteria. So when you just replace the water, you could still keep that bacteria on the walls of the hot tub. But if you scrub it, you are going to break that top portion off. So it's kind of like sticking that spoon in the soup to break it down, and then you kind of stir it all up. Same idea, okay? You want to make sure you're getting those walls brushed down to prevent any type of bacteria building up and creating that film. So that way your disinfection of chlorine or bromine, whatever you use, is able to kill those bacteria. So that way you don't get hot tub rash and you don't get visits from us. Now, I know that that is a very broad overview, very quick lesson in micro. I understand that you may have more questions about it. Please feel free to reach out to us. We are here to help on all situations. We are a wealth of knowledge and we like sharing it, believe it or not. So if you have questions, feel free to give us a call at 417-334-4544 extension 593 and just explain that you are needing some assistance with some pools. Now, the big thing is RWIs are easily prevented if you are maintaining your pool clean and you're keeping your chemicals correct. It's that simple. You can prevent so many illnesses by having good disinfection, so having the right levels of chlorine. Zero chlorine is not going to do anything, and too high of chlorine is going to cause bather issues. That's why we ask for it to be at 1 to 10. And that's it. Like, you can prevent illness just by making sure that your pool is at the right concentration of chlorine. I hope you enjoyed my presentation, and I'll see you at our next pool inspection. Bye!